Hello everybody, it's Cindy the Scrapologist. Welcome to another paper crafting tutorial. What I have here today are little Sparrow post boxes. They're designed to hang on doorknobs, and you put little letters and little gifts, maybe candy in them for the little kitties, and when they wake up they have a little surprise on their doorknob. I love these, and I think this was something started by Tasha Tudor back in the early 1900s, and I think we should bring this back. As a child, I would have loved this. So, if you don't know who Tasha Tudor is, she was an author and illustrator that illustrated a lot of our most favorite children's books. Secret Garden from the 1960s being my probably all time go to when I was a child. I loved that book. So, look her up if you have never heard of her. She deserves to be well known. Well, she is, but everybody should know of her. But this was a tradition. The Sparrow Post was a tradition in the Tudor family, and every year Tasha and her children and later her grandchildren would spend hours crafting these little mini letters, envelopes, and these post boxes, and then they would hang their little post boxes on their bedroom doors, and every morning they would wake up to see if any mail had arrived in the night. And sometimes they would use the Sparrow Post to write to each other, and sometimes the letters were addressed to or from their dolls who were considered part of the family. I love this. I absolutely love this. And I think we should bring it back. So they do have a tutorial on the Tasha Tudor and Family website. The link is below. This is not me. This is a copyright, so I am not distributing this. But this doesn't really come with instructions, so I just thought I would take you through my process of building one of these. So this one I finished up. So if you look inside, it has a tiny little envelope and a little letter, which I haven't written anything on it yet. And the tutorial that they provide involves both the letters and the tiny little envelopes and these little boxes. So I'm going to walk you through my process, and let's get started. So let's start with what I think is the easier one, and that is the early 1950s Sparrow Post Box. The other one was a little more complicated, at least for me to make, and so this I think is a good starting point. To make this project, you're already going to have these items, I'm sure, in your house. You need paper, first of all. Tasha and her family used images from old calendars, which is a great idea. You can use scrapbook paper, anything that you have on hand that is a little stiff. This piece of scrapbook paper I have here is more the consistency of cardstock. It can be double-sided or single-sided. You're not really going to see the inside until you open the lid, so if you care about that, do double-sided, if not single-sided. But you don't want to use paper that is more the consistency of photocopy paper. You do want something that is a little more like cardstock. But you can use the thinner paper. You do need to have some of this to make your little tiny envelopes, and you need some kind of paper to do your little messages inside. So you do want thinner paper for these little envelopes. You want a ruler. Preferably this one has a metal cutting edge here, so you want something that you're not going to be nicking into when you're using the next tool, which is your X-Acto knife. And I love this ruler because I can put my X-Acto knife right on there and it doesn't roll away from me. You want some adhesive. Now it calls for either a glue stick or white glue. I actually found I needed both. Some things lent themselves well to the glue stick, and some I wanted a little fine tip glue, this was easier to use. So whatever you have in your house, it will totally work. You also want 2 feet of decorative ribbon of any kind, whatever you feel matches your paper, cut in half. So technically 2 1-foot or 12-inch long pieces of ribbon. You need your scissors, of course, the X-Acto knife I mentioned, and then optional is a bone folder. You do want to make sure that you get really good creases when you're putting this together, but you can use the back side of your ruler, you can use your X-Acto knife, you can use a credit card, whatever you have on hand if you don't have a bone folder. So the first thing we need is just the template, and you do want to cut it out. Let me move this stuff out of my way. And cut it out of your cardstock, thicker piece of paper. One little trick that I try to do when I'm doing something like this with an X-Acto knife is put it on the corner here, and then I don't have to cut out this side or this side. But unfortunately with this scrap that I have a hole there that's getting in the way, so I am going to have to put it here. And I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife and a ruler and cut using the template. You want to make sure also there are a couple of other places that you want to cut. The solid lines are where you want to cut, and the dotted lines are where we're going to fold. So a couple of things I missed the first time I made this. You want to cut these here, and you also want to cut here and here. And then cut slits for your ribbon, where your ribbon is going to go. If you have little thin ribbon like I do, you don't need to cut a slit quite as big as what is here. Just cut one enough so that your ribbon is going to be able to go through the slot. And then you want to also cut out this little window here. This is where your little secret mail is going to go. So here's what we have. I cut the slots. We've got this. And there's the little mail slot. So now we have the areas where we need to fold, all of the dotted lines. And I do like to use my scoreboard, but you don't have to. You can just go ahead and sort of eyeball it and fold it. But I did notice that these folds here and here are 1 inch from the edge. So they go across, and then they actually go all the way up to the tippy top. So I'm going to do that. And up they go. And then the next fold, there are all of these folds here, which are just kind of easier to eyeball them and do them. Same with these, but I like to do those 2 major folds with my scoreboard. And then we want to go ahead and start folding and creasing. Oh, the one thing I forgot to mention, you can use paper that's kind of busy with stuff on it, but some of it's going to be upside down, and this ends up being so tiny that large letters to me don't fit the look of this, but of course use whatever you like. I did a few of them and I liked them much better when I just used just some florals, and they're very tiny, so something that's small to accommodate the tininess of what we're creating, but of course use whatever turns you on. So I'm going to just fold all of these in. And burnish them. Okay, and then we want to fold where these 2 flaps are. So the first fold is going to go here. Try to make it as even as you can. And the second fold is going to go here. So we end up there. We're making our box, and this we have these slits here, and everything's going to get wrapped around like that. So we've already got it almost done except for the gluing. So the lid is something that I had a little bit of trouble with. I'll show you. Do you think I had some trouble with this? I did. What I did the first time is I wasn't sure what got glued, and I glued the whole thing down. And then I thought, how do they get their letters out of there? So I tried to neatly unglue it. Didn't work. So that's okay. I always have at least 2 to 3 prototypes that look like this before I can do a YouTube video. So I found it easier to insert the ribbon and not insert the ribbon, sorry, to glue this down before I dealt with the lid. Yes, we do need to insert the ribbon, I'm sorry. So let me get my ribbon. So the ribbon is going to get attached to these 2 flaps here on the inside, and it's going to go this way or this way. I happened to pull out single-sided ribbon, but that's okay. And it's gonna go started about halfway down this flap. You want at least an inch, maybe more, to be glued on here. So I'm going to glue this on. Either side. And this actually is the ribbon. You can see some of the glue here. This is the ribbon that I pulled off of my other prototype. I said, well, I'm not going to waste the ribbon. It's still pretty ribbon, and this part's not going to show. So try to recycle what I can. And then in Tasha's instructions, she suggests that at this point you go and get a cup of tea while you're waiting for your glue to dry. And if you watch me, you know I am all in when it comes to tea. So I'm going to go get a cup of tea, and I'll be back. And I'm back with my tea. My favorite glass is starting to crack, which I'm very sad about. I'm going to have to find another one of these. Yum. My flavor today is vanilla, and there's some kind of wildflower in it. I forget what it is. We had 2 feet of snow last night. Yes, it's almost the end of March, and we're still getting blizzards. So today's a good day for hot tea. Okay, let's glue this thing together. So just get the ribbons out of the way, and it's going to go. First, we want these flaps here to get glued to here. So for this, I did use the wet glue. I just think it's going to stick on a little better. So glue the outside, fold it up, try to get it nice and even, and stick those on there. And if you didn't cut exactly precise with your X-Acto knife, you're going to have a little bit of overhang here or there. Just trim off anything you feel you need to trim off. And I always check the bottom. I'm just going to hold it a little bit while it dries. Okay, so this is what we have now. Now we need to take these 2 flaps here, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put glue on the outside. Or actually, no, I take that back. On this one, we're putting glue on the inside, and we're going to fold it up and adhere them right there. probably as I'm working, you can hear all the noise from all the snowplows going by and working out in the street and in the parking lot next door to me. And it was quiet last night, though. Nobody was out and about. Not in that storm. I hope this is it for us and we can have a bit of spring now. Please, please, please. Okay, and I'm going to just go in with my bone folder and just make sure everything is adhered down very well. And that's going to take a few minutes to dry. So I'll go sip some tea and come back in a second. Almost done with my tea. Okay, so now we've got some more folding to do, but first we need to put our ribbons through the slits. Oops, I didn't. My X-Acto knife is getting dull. I need to open up my slits a little bit. And we're just going to put the ribbon through the slit in the cover. I guess you could call it a cover. Okay, do the same with the other one. Okay, so this is what we have now. And then we just need to fold up and glue the lid and we'll be done. So sorry, I pulled those in too much. This gets folded in, these two sides like this. Right now I'm just creasing everything. This gets folded in. And because I use my scoreboard, these should be nice and even. If you're just hand folding it or eyeballing it, it's going to be a little more difficult, but it'll still work. Don't worry. Now this one, I did not score in advance. It's going to get folded so that this is like this. So you're going to fold, you're going to fold from there to there. These are going to come back out, but these are your guides. Okay? So you're going to fold from there to there. And burnish everything if you can. And now we are ready to glue the lid. So I wasn't sure really by looking at the instructions if this little flap should go on the inside or get glued on the outside, but I think it looks better. I think you could do both, but it's a much cleaner look if you glue it to the inside. So what I did was I folded this little flap in and I put glue here and did the same over here. And then kind of matched this up so that it's all even at the top. I did that on both sides. Okay, so this is what we have. And actually, I should have folded this beforehand too. But you can do it after. Kind of fold it and pinch it. That way you know where it goes. And then go ahead and fold it this way. But should have done that before. Be easier, but you can still do it now. And there is our cute, pull these taut, and there is our cute little box, and it can stay open because of the ribbon, or you can pull it tight, and then you just tie a little bow at the top, which my carpal tunnel hands do not tie bows. So I'm just doing a knot. If you can tie a bow, how pretty that would be. I just can't even hardly manage this kind of material. I don't know. I don't know why, but there it is. There's our cute little mailbox. So the this is envelopes and little journal cards that you can make. I'm not going to show how to do that because I think this is really self-explanatory. You just cut out using the template, you fold on these lines and glue, and these are your little journal cards, and this is the size they end up being. Isn't that so cute? So cute. And then this is required to be folded in half. This is just a little piece of cream colored cardstock that I put in here. Close it up and send your mail. Isn't that adorable? Let's make another one. Let's make the sparrow one. A little more complicated, but definitely doable. For this one, I cut it out off camera, but you have two little templates. Mine's kind of cut apart now a little bit, but you have this template here, right here, and then you have the roof. You have your house and you have your roof. So this is what it ends up looking like. And then you have all these little tabs here because this is a circular fold here. So you fold all these little tabs down. Then you fold these down, and all the fold lines are indicated on here. On here. Fold these down. These get folded like this, and don't forget your little slits that go in here because I believe your ribbon goes through there. And then you do the same with the bottom here, and it folds up like a little house with a little heart and arrow on the front. Very cute. My paper is a little busy. I probably should have used something solid, but just for demonstration purposes. So then you have your roof that you fold in half, and this is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then you have the two slits where you insert your ribbon. So the first thing we want to do is just glue our walls on. So we're going to put a little dab of glue on each of these tabs here. So hopefully you have a little bit of a fine tip. But these are going on the inside, so if it's a little messy, that's okay. So I would do one side at a time. And it is going to require you to hold it in place a little bit until it feels like it's on there really. Whoops, sorry, I was off camera. till it feels like it's somewhat sticking. Oh, I thought of one more thing. These little things here, these little flaps, get glued down as well. It just gives you a nicer edge. See, this is what caused me issues before, is I thought somehow these got glued to the roof, but they don't. The roof is removable. So I should have done these before I glued the sides on, but that's okay. Those just get glued down like so. Okay, so I'm going to do the other side and let all of this dry. Okay, and this is where I ran into trouble and got a little frustrated, so I just kind of made up my own thing here. But if you figure out how this is really supposed to be, please let me know. So there's something on the instructions. There's also, you're supposed to cut out 2 of these supporting beams. They're right here. And the directions say attach supporting beam here. And then attach another one here. Could not figure that out because the beam, if you, no matter how you put it, it's going to cover this. If you put it down lower, it serves no purpose. You can't put it like this. So I really don't get what you're supposed to do with this. I also could not figure out how you are supposed to put the ribbon on, so I made up my own thing. So what I did was I folded this flap in half. This flap has a slit in it for the ribbon. I folded it in half, stuck the ribbon in there, and glued it down. Then I put it through here, and you want enough ribbon so that you can hang it from a doorknob. So my ribbon is approximately 12 inches long. So I'll show you on this one. So I put it down through here. Okay, so it's sticking out just a little bit. And then I glue down this flap over the ribbon. Again, I have no idea if that's really what is supposed to happen here. But once you do that, then your roof kind of sits on there. See, this is what I'm wondering, is why it doesn't stay like that. It just kind of, yeah. But pull this tight. Now, once I pull it tight, maybe I did do it right. I don't know. But that's what it looks like once I pull it tight. And then you would hang this off a doorknob, and they can lift the roof off and look for their cute little letters. So I think this is just a beautiful tradition to start in your family. I would have loved this when I was a kid. Let me know in the comments below if you give this a try and what the kids' reactions are. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.